Hey there, my name is Kate and welcome to my channel, Fire Horse Academy. Welcome and thank you for joining me. So I just had a download that is like dropping in as we speak. And I didn't have time. I literally just came in from walking, let my dog off the leash, and here I go because it was really good. It was great stuff. So I'm going to use a metaphor. Jesus talked in parables a lot, and I found that to be for somebody who learns in pictures. That was a really great way for me to learn a lot of really good, universal law in a very simple way. Put that in a picture format, and I can understand probably quantum physics at a level of building stuff I don't even know about yet. But it's not me to have to sit down and try to do all the calculations and stuff. But if somebody could draw enough of a picture while they're explaining, man. But anyway, it was living itself out here in 3D theater. Reality, a really beautiful lesson. So I hike a lot, and right now, haven't been able to spend as much time actually making contact with mountains and going the distance to places to even begin a very long hike with my dog in a very long time, just based on some of the projects that have deadlines that are coming up. So, life is happening. And life is happening around us all the time, despite, what our things are. It's happening all the time, and we're all experiencing it very, very differently. So I went for a walk with my dog, is what I'm saying, is I just take him around my neighborhood for a few miles, and do that as little or as much as we can both tolerate and have time for to do that, because there's often days where I'm gone, so much so that a nighttime walk isn't going to happen. So, we do as much as we can when we can for the amount of time that's reasonable, and stop worrying about how many times a day he's getting out for a walk. Anyway, that was the codependent relationship I used to have with my dog, being concerned about how much he's used to, etc. But when we take this metaphor, the parable, go in understanding that this is already was a complicated relationship that I had a hard time understanding boundaries with animals. After getting them with humans, I still had some, issues with my dog not wanting to do things when I asked him to, and not be a whole, monster about it, because it was really not servicing our relationship for him to not do what I asked him to do, which is, please don't run away from me. That's the first thing. You're gonna have to learn how to do that come thing. Yeah, or you're never gonna get off this leash. Neither one of us want that. However, that is what we both are after, despite how he might be experiencing his walk, which is how we're starting. That I suit him up, I vest him up, I put his little I'm ready for anything wardrobe on, and long 20-foot lead rope for a horse, so I got my handle on it. Because most of the time I can let him loose in the woods. It's not a big deal. If it's an area where a dog can be off leash, I let him off leash, because that's the area where I know he's scared enough of what might get him that he won't run away from me. However, when we're doing city drills that he's more familiar with and knows where the dog lives at the end of that fence over there, it gets janky, and it was ugly. Not understanding before we walked out the door some information I'm going to pass to you right now about understanding people's commingling journeys, their spiritual journeys. Let's start it with it. That my dog and I say we've suited up, we're ready, we're here. We've joined this union together of dog and owner, which is the first mistake that I make in those moments of thinking how I'm gonna boss this very independent spirit here, who's been delivered as a gift to my world, just based on the timing and stuff. I know exactly what this is to me, and yet I'm gonna lose its preciousness in a minute because he's not doing what I want him to. Now I'm his owner and not his, collaborator and partner and all this other crap that we like to talk about, which is good crap to talk about. However, when we need to talk about the woo-woo crap, we need to talk about the woo-woo crap. That the woo-woo crap needs to come parlay into real life for everybody to play safely. And so he and I had to come to some training resolution that doesn't work the same with horses as it does with dogs. Very similar. However, I can work with a horse. However, I'm also not training horses to do anything except understand how to teach me better boundaries and how to teach other clients. So we have a different relationship, but I'm far more of a horse whisperer than I am a dog whisperer with a neurodivergent dog. He's out there. He's got some issues. He came traumatized, and I know that. However, he and I have both been able to work through those stories of how we're going to journey on our walk through life, literally getting something done that we both need, crave, and want, which is togetherness, sorta, depends. However, I can be together with you while I exercise, you exercise, we both get sunshine, you get to listen to whatever you want to, I get to sniff some stuff, and it's, everybody gets a piece of the pie here that's equitable, not equal necessarily, equitable, because I'm going to need to put my needs first. I can't let my dog decide when to walk, how to walk, and how far. You know, what I do know is that when I decide on my journey, that when it's time, that he's showing signs of slowing down. Matter of fact, on our journey, it was hot as hell. The journey, the spiritual prodigal gun, yeah, that prodigal son started blazing early with, I'm not feeling it. Like, oh, no, you're feeling it, because I need you to, this is one of those where you're going to comply. We need to wear multiple hats in this house. Welcome. You're here, and you didn't come here by mistake. I'm sure of it. So somewhere in your little soul there, where I don't know how to get to just yet, and you don't want to get to it in mine, the verbal commands here are going to have to be owner-ish and leader-ish. So when I could make the distinction if I could make, when I could make the distinction between one of those things and the other, is that what he needs and what I need on an emotional level are very different than spiritually what's happening here. And it's because of that spiritual conflict and disharmony there, the dissonance, that it's coming up here for both of us to learn something, because it's a terrified animal with a terrible past that's been rescued. He looks to you to not terrify him some more, and that's fine, except that I can't allow him to set the standard of what terrifies him. And if we're still 3 years into our relationship and he's still terrified of me as a person, there's definitely a mismatch there. However, he's not. He just knows that when mommy needs to terrify you just this much for you to get it, boy, I mean for you to snatch in the line right now, this is not going to happen, because that's an earth thing that we need to play 3D, like we both know where we are with this. And the elemental emotional thing, you can put that on hold for a second and hold your energy over there, and know that the higher cup here is, you're going to let me take this and not wrestle it from you or turn it into some leadership issue where dictatorialship takes over. Do not make me have to, and this starts sounding, I was a real problem with this, because it starts sounding like, don't make me have to hurt you. And what I realized as I started to say that, and why I did not know the lesson of how to deliver the, you will do what I'm asking you to do, or it will change the nature of what we do. And what I've learned to do, rather than threaten some violence, something that I can't follow up on, because I'm not that kind of person that's going to, beat a dog into the ground and ask it to kill its spirit so it'll do exactly what I want it to do. It's kind of anti everything that I am. So what I do instead, because dogs are not stupid, they have frontal lobe engagement, mine especially. He's very cerebral, he's neurodivergent. He needs some more connection with here to know that I'm a stable foundation that can help him walk and keep both of us safe, allow him the space to have what he is able to handle, not what I can control that he can't. The hell, know better my dog. And that comes from just learning and working with him, and not turning that into a big power struggle as we're both on our ignorant journeys with one another. Spiritually speaking, we're going to pass temptations on both sides. It's just that one of us passing a fence that has something that will compromise my safety, boo, you're going to have to pull that in right now. And the more that I've worked with him to really, because we don't usually walk in the neighborhood, that's not something, because of all the fences and shit, it's just he's used to being able to run, in miles and miles of open country, with woods and stuff to sniff. And he knows when there's something way bigger than me. He's that kind of a kid that'll come back when he knows, yeah, I'm out of my element here. However, in the neighborhood, he thinks he's in his element because he smells dog everywhere. No. Those are those kinds of dogs, and they don't play with sweet little neurodivergent, bubbly you. And even if they did, I don't care. That does not serve you to be on this side of the fence or raising a ruckus on their side of the fence when neither one of you, even though it'd be really exciting and fun, that's one we're gonna have to super pass on there, son. That, yeah, energetically, it just ain't aligned for all of us having this be a good thing for everybody all at the same time. See, that's where the next step in evolution is become a me thinker that thinks about others, okay? To become I'm of service, and the way that I continue to be of service without getting mad and snatching my dog's head off every once in a while whenever he pulls me weird on his weird journey that he's working through his own trauma. I get it, boo. However, you're gonna have to earth with me. very differently for us to be able to keep this relationship going and have it evolve. If you want me to call myself owner and you to be my dog and you sit and stay and do all that boring crap that I don't want a dog that's a automaton. An NPC that's a dog isn't any, human dog. It doesn't matter. Bring me a lizard, bring me some fake ass things flying around my house, whatever it is. Okay? Whatever it is. If it's not going to be willing to work to evolve itself and ask me to manage it or be managed by its fear or its need to go socialize over the greater good between the two of us and that dog, I'm not just looking out for me, pal. Or punishing you because of something you did 2 seconds ago back there that I don't care about, dude. I'm in this moment right here letting you know that you're not going to create havoc in my world, break my arm, drag me across the concrete because you got no discipline and don't understand where you are and what time it is. It's not that time, and this isn't the place, and it never will be. You're never going to get to know those friends of yours over there because they smell like a dog. Don't care. Keep moving. It's none of your business. As a matter of fact, that's our command. That's my command, is he understands. Not your business. Not your business. And when I say not your business, I mean eyes forward. And the more I have to get real stern with that, that'll turn into a correction right in front of everything that's going on, God and everybody. Because those are the most impactful. However, sometimes that's the way a brother wants to learn. And on the way home, here's where it was real fun. He's real anxious once he's been out exploring the world, playing prodigal in a few directions that really are irritating. They're not game changers, however, they're irritating. But do I really need to remind you of those manners? Yes, 11:11. I do. Okay. Well, that's okay. I'm happy to. And as long as I'm good, I'm not going to punish him because I need to remind him. However, I am going to make sure you understand where I'm at with this friend and how quickly you're going to reestablish your balance with me one more time and once again, because the blowing off of what is expected, that's wanton, deliberate, sin, as it were. It's wanton disregard for what has been the stated boundary of another sentient being who's telling you, my energetic boundary is that I'm not enmeshing with you, cursing with you, and going down with you because you make bad decisions that are impulsive, especially when you want to co-share space with me and ask me to be the person who feeds you, gives you a home, takes you places, insists you go have fun with me, and you do. And you don't want to be here for the grungy part? Oh no, the grungy part lives here. It's in the same house, lives with you. Were you not up to speed on that? There's some folks just finding out that, oh yeah, it's your turn to scoop the litter box, baby. And I don't mean that cat or that box. Okay? I mean the litter box of your soul, baby, is busy getting a lot of junk in it collected and thinking it's somehow my load to carry or smell or be in the presence of when you can't make good decisions. And my dog? I've never had one that I wouldn't just go all the way doing everything I could. I've never brought anything into my life that I wouldn't do everything I could to keep the vitality going right up until the code called itself, I haven't. However, what I have noticed is that it's a successful resuscitation. See, I can't even say it because that shit doesn't roll off the lips. It doesn't happen. Successful resuscitation does not happen for 30 years. Or as a lifestyle, people get resentful and they need that supplemental somewhere else. And it comes from very solidly ugly places where they start dragging their owner around, or they're co-sharing this existence with you right up 1313 till I need to jerk a knot in your tail for a second and let you know that I mean very severely if that's what it takes. Had to snatch him into reality quite severely the other day. Took him by surprise, and I reminded him, we're energetic beings too. And I'm not here abusing you, but I'm telling you, you're going home now because you will not do this. I don't care where we are. You get a lot of freeway and leeway to run and roam and do your thing when we're out in the woods. It's been a couple weeks and you frustrated as shit and all that. So am I, pal. However, I'm making do with the city walk just like you, and I'll be darned if I'm going to avail myself of the opportunity to help you out of your slump and your funk, roster you down to a friend that I don't care about, or that's going to be relegated on that priority list to begin with in any other way except a priority when it's your turn for it to be that way. And when it's not, you're going to understand and sit your booty right on down and have a different plan about how. Oh my goodness, I apologize. That was my alarm going off yet again. And I always think, that I've turned him off. I've prevented it. No, I've got a, on video thing that is it worth it to me? Is it for the greater good to just put the message out? And if somebody's got a problem with it, they have more problems than I can help them with because they already stopped short of what it was even talking about to make a judgment. So, those are the kinds of cutthroat decisions at this point that it's going to get turned. if it gets burnt, because I'm the one that's governing this, and I know how to regulate this walk that we're sharing. You having your journey when you're sniffing up trees and, climbing them halfway to get to, a squirrel that really baits you good, then that's your world out there. When we're in that world with my dog, when we're in that world, I have a different world too. I'm there spacing out in a different direction and don't want to have to worry about you. However, when we're both making do, shitty is on both sides. And the days of carrying it on my side to make sure I let you rip my arm off, or, do whatever suits your needs because you got no ability to take that need, that want, that desire, that pent-up irritability and shove it through a fence and get everybody disrupted for 30 seconds before, somebody comes along and either picks up bodies or separates the gnarl, whatever it is. And I'm not interested in creating those crazy situations with people who really enjoy doing stuff like that because of an unconsciousness just like that. Or my dog isn't this sadistic. However, people are. They see an opportunity to, hey, there's a dog over there. I think I'm going to go screw some stuff up right quick. This owner of mine that I don't really like, I'm going to go ahead and make it really awful for them. So our handler gets punished because eventually, on my way home, my dog never has known that we have this little hill to get back home. He has never known that we could cut right up that hill because we walk on the top of the hill. When we need a real short, gotta pee and gotta poop, and need to get in, get out, and, drop kick it and move on, we do it there. We don't go all the way and around. So there's many more times that we're on the top of that area where he's never seen before. So we're journeying sometimes with people that can open up new vistas of awareness. However, when my dog wants to split, peel off, and, give his salute as he's peeling away from me, to cut home because he's anxious to get home. I'm anxious to get home. Get me to the light. He wants to cut through up the hill. Guess what? I don't want that to do. Open up his awareness very far to understand that, once he cuts it through from the top and figures it out, because he's almost got it. That's how intellectual he is. Shit's always watching. It really is. And my dog knew exactly. I've been watching him watch that for 3-4 days now. Like, he getting clown. I can tell there's going to be some action in a minute. And the next time we go, we're going to walk through that area in a very different way to squelch the desire for that, because opening up to a human being, a child, or someone that you can be working with to understand how you would navigate that safely is very different than you would a dog, where there's no good way for both of us to go up or down that hill together. Though people do walk it, there is no way for me and him. I'm not doing it, and I'm damn sure not doing it with the dog that just wants to get down to the sidewalk. Does this sound like pre-planning, pre-thinking, and already saying no ahead of time to what you've already shown me for 3 days now, 4 days now, what is a potential problem? And I'm going to keep that one in the mystery, in the dark, because there isn't a good way to help navigate that. And that's not a do or die. If that was a do or die, I need you to be able to get on a plane because we're moving to, somewhere that doesn't involve, rolling there to get it, except out of a plane. Then we're going to have a more, brutish conversation. Perhaps it won't be to just shove them in a plane and go, unless that's the emergency we're in. And dude, friend, I'm going to be well on top of it well before then. I certainly would plan and know that I would be, and hope. No, I know, because that's the part of me that already knows what I do and why I do it, is to help people see the follow through of stuff exactly like that. That I can see he understands exactly how to get back home, because to him, he's lost all sight, all care of who I am, what our relationship is, or that we are tethered to one another with a responsibility that says, you're going to keep your butt right here with me, because that's the agreement we have, and the city requires that we do while we're here. And I wouldn't let him off leash even if they didn't, because not in a city with temptations and a dog that's not often tempted by city desires. You know what I'm saying? He's tempted by country desire, which is where all the deer, the buffalo, and the, antelope roam and shit. And he knows how to navigate that. He's safe in that. And so what's the loss to him is that you're never going to know about that, friend, for as long as I can keep that mystery going. However, that's one that we can sacrifice, and isn't going to compromise his journey. It's not going to change his ability to explore himself and to understand. He's already accomplished the task of working the brilliant plan out. It's just, evil genius plan. We're going to slam that one right on down to the ground, because that's going to get both of us killed. Because you don't see what I see, which is a massive hill that lands on a major artery that you are going to come in on sideways and slam right across into a lane I'm surprised it doesn't happen because stuff falls down. I've lost a few frisbees and, a couple balls like that. Imagine just rolling down the hill and getting stuck somewhere down there. However, a whole running dog will have all the physics, which is the energy statement of you're coming with full barrels to go get what you want. And when you are smashed by the, big old giant 18-wheeler that just ran you over because you didn't understand what was going on and wouldn't trust the owner not to just be owning you, but informing you, that's the recipe for that. Now, if he ever breaks through and that's the consequence, that was what his soul chose to do. However, you've been notified, you've been served. The cosmic bounty hunter let you know that that's a terrible plan, and I'm going to do everything I can to protect you. And not knowing that, not do everything I can to squelch what you know of your outside experiences. The boundaries on that one is that's a no-go, because you're going to be able to go exactly where you'd like to go, just safely, more appropriately, and not quite so aggressively as I'm just tear-assing across. Imagine if you got good enough to do that once or twice. If you manage to. He's too clumsy and isn't quite dexterous for it, so he's well out of his field beyond what he really can do. However, his lusty, that looks like a quick way to get home. And it might look like a real quick way to get going whenever we leave, because he certainly gets suspicious while we're on the top. Think where we're not going to be walking. When we do our quickie, we're going out some other direction besides the one that lets him keep cementing in that connection. Because that's one that's for his safety, not for my comfort, not for my selfish, not to make something better for me. It's better for me to not have my dog smashed. However, I've had to grieve loss of a lot of things that just did all kinds of things and smashed right in front of me as a chosen desire to do so. And wow, I'm going to have to be super resilient watching that stuff. Hate it when it happens. However, I have to at least give this dog the opportunity to understand that, no, build the fear that it takes to understand the really ridiculous idea that you're forming there. It's not a good one. And when people are not as gracious in how they receive something than they want me to join them with and expect me to keep showing up to battle point over a shortcut to life, not in the spiritual journey, baby. The shortcut is, no, we're going to shortcut out there and take a short walk out the other direction so there's no temptation to even remember it. We're going to de-emphasize it, de-escalate the energy off of it, distract it, redirect it, and focus it with, we're here. And we'll go by car somewhere else, to go off whatever. And until we can, then we earn what we're willing to understand about who and what we are and the people we're co-sharing space with. And if we're not willing to know and understand, then he loses time walking because he's not always quick to refresh or act like, he has a whole thing where, I just don't know, I'm too scared. And pick it up. We've been around long enough for you to know that I can have an expectation of you and not to pull that whole, stress card on me. It's not basic training unless you want it to be. And if you pull that stress card out, it's gonna be. The stress card pulls a different interaction than you're trying to pull here with it. So no, if you want it to get more rangy, we can take it there. However, I prefer the least amount of intervention for the most benefit. And when people will not allow me, my dog won't allow me, we go home. And he loses time on his journey because he's in a mystery of how this is going to be led with other people and creating karma between us. And I'm allowing him, so I'm creating it too by potentially having my arm ripped off if he decides to go diving and install, unnecessary injury, assault, and a chance for me to feel victimized because I didn't understand what I was doing, which is to check the surroundings and make sure that you're prepped and ready really for who you're co-sharing life with. To get distracted by, stuff behind a fence, things that are over there. If you wanted to be distracted by something else and just being, completely enjoying your walk, good luck. You're going to be playing to the needs of the flighty junior. I mean, he's young. He's a very young dog. He's junior. Is so-and-so junior, or God forbid, third or the fourth of some legacy story really going to stand there and hold that position? Not in my world. So when Hondo got the message that, we have to install again who's wearing the mantle of command and let you, just a reminder of the hell, then we go back home because he understands it. He knows it. I just lost the little bit of outside time Yeah, that's what discipline looks like. To cause the sacrifice to happen is you just sacrifice the freedom that you had earned by blowing it early on this one, to the point that it's now terminal and we have to leave. Small infraction, very different. You're not catching the cues and you're compromising safety. No, that's a completely different discussion, and it puts on a different hat in the same relationship, and it weirds people out. However, it's what's necessary. So that's enough. Yeah, thank you very much for your time. I hope that you enjoy your day no matter what part of the day you're in. And I hope that you get within to your divine, because your divine is precious. It's absolutely precious. And it's fine. And it can handle tough conversations, because my dog now, after we establish a while ago, a couple of years ago, that I will always do everything to meet your needs. And even your desires, right up to the point that I know them. However, you bolting 1111 on this side, when you want it, and being a greedy goblin, thing, a hungry ghost in my world, I don't do that in animal form or people form. So we need to learn a few things about those boundaries. And he knows that when you work with me, you get what you want. And we don't use that same training model, because I need him to be more flexible in what he's doing. Allow him to make choices in a very broad context with some very small material that doesn't move us very fast. However, it builds it very slow and confidently that, all right, you don't want to trust me here, then that's just an abject fear of something in you about not having what you want, which is a completely different discussion than I'm terrified of, riding in the car. It tracks the same, it looks and feels, experiences differently, but the experience, not sure what I just said, the experience is different for both. And I'm going to stop because I really don't know. I'm going to let that, kiss that one goodbye. Yeah, take care of yourselves, and take care truly of precious you, that divine place within you that doesn't have any trouble truly knowing. And when you hook up with people that can help you gently pick yourself up when they know that, those people, when the ones that call it out, point it out, and then freak it out, or they make something happen or allow something to happen, and then, that's all unnecessary. When we know that we're with people and we trust them, that you're going to help me learn how to be better at this, right? Because I suck at some of these things. You're going to help me with this. And that's an unstated thing. Should really, I would hope, could be an unstated assumption. However, sometimes we just need to be that out loud and proud with ourselves that, look, it's just not meeting my needs that way. It's just not getting there. And it's gentle when you're talking about people and, their trauma. However, there's no need for gentle when you're talking about people and their greed. That's a completely different trauma response that needs very different handling. You don't handle nuclear waste the same as you do a fly infestation. One takes a little more than the other. So anyway, take care of yourself, and I'll see you again next time. Mwah! Bye, friends.